If you've ever been behind the wheel, you've undoubtedly felt that urge to just slam your foot on the gas and go flying off down the road. Well, you shouldn't do that on public streets because it could result in someone else's death. That need for adrenaline pumping speed is like a drug, just daring us to take off like a rocket. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every new sub helps us achieve our goal and keeps us motivated to create new content. With that being said, I'm your host, Jamie, and here are 10 must-see racing films. Number 1. Days of Thunder. Days of Thunder stays fairly comfortably within racing film wheelhouse tropes, for better or worse. The film revolves around a rookie racer played by Tom Cruise who develops a rivalry with a veteran racer. The character dynamic actually appears in most of the films on this list to some extent, and certainly isn't exclusive to racing films. Days of Thunder is fairly lean and straightforward in story. It's bolstered by the signature production aesthetics of both Jerry Bruckheimer and Scott Free Productions. Their styles are vivid and sweeping, which is perfect for the sublime racing sequences. The charismatic cast and a soundtrack comparable to Top Gun elevate the script as well. Also, much like with Top Gun effects, the racing is all done with practical effects and expert stunt drivers. So take a chance over on Pluto, Paramount Plus, Roku, Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango to give this one a watch. Number 2. The Fast and the Furious. The Fast and the Furious is the humble beginning of what is now one of the biggest high-octane franchises. When this film first raced its way into theaters in 2001, it was lauded for its stunt driving and innovative camera work. It also made superstars of Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, who have undeniable screen presence and chemistry. The film itself was a bona fide hit and introduced the mainstream world to street racing culture. Sure, there are some cringy moments, especially with the whole family concept Dom has, but it really shows how differently people can love one another. And yes, there are tons of inconsistencies throughout the franchise, but with a start like this, we had to keep going. Race on over to Tubi, FX Now, Peacock, Fubo, Hulu, Google Play, Apple TV, Fandango, or Prime to check this out. Number 3. Rush. 2013's Rush had all the makings of a hit and Oscar winner. Casting Chris Hemsworth after his career had soared to new heights, with the industry shifting Avengers, placing Hollywood royalty Ron Howard behind the camera to direct a great script based on a true story, the film did everything right. While it was a commercial failure and Oscar snub, it was a critical darling that is winning the long race. If you have not seen this film, watch it when you're done with this video on Prime, Apple TV, Google Play, or Fandango. The races are truly exhilarating, and it is a real rousing crowd pleaser. Number 4. Speed Racer. Brought to you by the Wachowski sisters, who also brought us the culture-shifting mindbender, The Matrix, returned several years after they wrapped up their Matrix trilogy with 2008's Speed Racer. Adapted from the popular Japanese cartoon, it is an absolute trip. The thrills don't just come from the highly stylized, adrenaline-fueled cars, but from the visually arresting art direction. Under all the popcorn thrills, there is also scathing indictment of capitalism. High octane levels can't compare to the phenomenal cast such as Christina Ricci, John Goodman, Susan Sarandon, and Emile Hirsch. Head over to Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango to give this one a boost. Number 5. Death Race. Said to be a reboot of the 1975 film Death Race 2000, 2008's Death Race stands out amongst the more generic racing films due to an intriguing premise. The film takes place in a future in which prisoners are allowed to participate in a race to the death for their freedom. It's like Battle Royale, which inspired the Hunger Games, except on wheels. While I truthfully don't recall too much of the characters or subplots, I do remember fantastic, brutal, and gritty racing set pieces, as well as action sequences. All that, along with Ian McShane's gravitas and stage presence, make Death Race a racing flick worth watching. Take some time to check this out on Hulu, Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango.
Looking for some new duds to dazzle your friends and family with? Support Fat Ninja Studios by heading over to fatninja.shop and checking out our very own merch store. We've got everything from shirts, hoodies, hats, shoes, and more. Again, check out fatninja.shop. Every dollar spent goes to our big fund jar and helps us produce more quality content and short films. Thanks again.
Number 6, Talladega Nights. Comedy legend Judd Apatow produced this over-the-top comedy gem at the height of his career. Frequent collaborator of Apatow, Adam McKay, directed Talladega Nights, who collaborated on the script with Will Ferrell. This film also continued Will Ferrell's box office winning streak in the mid-2000s. I've always found comedy is best when high and lowbrow mix. And Talladega Nights is truly a satire of farcical proportions. The film utilizes almost every type of comedy, and its most impressive feat, almost all the bits, gags, punchlines, etc. land. At its core, the film is straightforward in plot and character intentions, which helps provide the structure to the whirlwind of humorous elements. Despite the title, there's little to no actual racing, which takes a backseat to the unhinged nature of Will Ferrell and his colorful cast of characters. However, it can still call itself a proud, albeit silly entry in the pantheon of racing films. But make sure to check this out over on Hulu, Disney+, Fubo, Sling, Google Play, Prime, Apple TV, or Fandango. Number 7, Ford vs. Ferrari. This Academy Award nominated masterpiece is, in short, fantastic. It isn't just a rousing film about race cars, but a sharply scripted and genuinely interesting flick with standout performances and editing. While based on true stories, always dramatized, Ford vs. Ferrari juggles the real elements and fabrications for a riveting time. It also brings to life the story of how Ford came up with the Mustang, which also brought rise to our classic muscle cars. All these car companies had to come up with something bigger and better than the previous. Either which way, this is one hell of a watch, so go enjoy it over on Hulu, Disney+, Fubo, Sling, Google Play, Apple TV, Prime, Fandango, or FX Now. Number 8, Gran Turismo. Audiences are experiencing an exciting renaissance in video games adapted to film and TV, and Gran Turismo took an interesting approach that mostly paid off. While it isn't adapting anything from the game, which, how does one adapt into film what is essentially a racing simulator? Instead, the filmmakers adapted a film around a true story regarding the game itself. In the film, Nissan wanted to turn some of the best racing simulator gamers into real-life racers, so they hired a retired driver to coach these kids. Some come with some brilliant talent, while others are there just because they can. Not only is there the whole racing aspect, but there are times of real sentiment. Head on over to Netflix, Google Play, Apple TV, Fandango, or Prime to give this one a go. Number 9, Cars. Although in 2006, it was considered Pixar's weakest link, it was still a box office hit that garnered critical acclaim. It also happens to be one of Disney's biggest cash cows in merchandising, topping most film franchises, sans Star Wars. It's also a personal favorite of mine. While I'm no car person, writer and director John Lasseter is. And most of the car people I know appreciate the little nods Cars has for those steeped into car culture. One of my personal favorite little nods in the film is the inclusion of NPR's very own Car Talk guys in a voice cameo. Cars is a simple but sweet, sentimental film with dazzling effects that still hold up 18 years later. It offers a rambunctious soundtrack that makes you want to cruise the open road. And despite some of its story's shortcomings, it also has memorable and likable characters, punchy humor, and a wonderful voice cast. The pros definitely outweigh the cons in this animated classic. So take some time to remember our favorite Lightning McQueen over on Disney Plus, Google Play, Prime, Apple TV, or Fandango. Number 10, Driven. You may be asking yourself, why is this movie on this list? It's not very good. It's a schlocky melodrama. Absolutely. However, the races and stunt work are something to write home about. The aerial shots, the camera rigs on the vehicles, just the camera work in general is quite invigorating. Action director Rennie Harlan executes such sequences with confidence and feels very comfortable within his wheelhouse. You may also ask yourself, is it really worth watching for the races alone? To that, I say, with some movies you win some, you lose some. But check it out on Pluto, Philo, Google Play, Prime, Apple TV, or Fandango and let me know what you think. Thanks for checking out the video. Did we leave any films off the list? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to tap that bell icon to stay up to date with our latest releases. You can reach out to us on Twitter or X at StudiosFat, or chat with us on Discord, linked below. Make sure to check out our very own merch store located at fatninja.shop. All proceeds go towards our next film project, so we'd greatly appreciate it. I've been your host, Jamie. Watch out for red flags and trust your instincts.